Fane. Dallas told me about your divine...
The divine you thought dead.
What a twist.
Lucian frowns at...
I underestimated.
Respect?
Lucian's gaze
Lucian, we should...
Yes,
Dallas nods. A skull is revealed. Bejeweled.
I am.
Aren't they just full of surprises?
Fear not, Godwoken.
I shall tell you that long ago,
Of course.
silence our king forbade.
With the source they stole from the...
During their lives,
Our soul.
the Seven made a...
The Seven's when we are done, there shall be no more source in the world.
My people cannot be allowed to return from the void.
There is more.
I was a child when the god came. It was hell. A hell I suffered for the sins of my father. The cruel joke of it all is that the same tomb that Fane... Yes, you,
Dallas gives you a steady look, cool and...
your child rotted away in a tomb. Just like you, father. Look at us! We are all that remains! But now I have revenge. Revenge on the Seven and the God King. Revenge for what they took from me. My life. My people. My mother!
The hammer's voice falters and her coolness vanishes. Every crack and rasp betrays her grief. But her next words burn.
Did you even look for me? Did you even look for her?
Dallas, control yourself.
Yes.
Dallas's reasons weren't mine to question.
You wish to. Your actions led to this. You have but one path to atonement, and Rivellon has but one path to redemption. You must give up your... She sacrificed. She didn't do it willingly, mine. And then I took her place. Fate, no matter. The plan is almost...
We have made so many...
Decide. Be the true hero.
There is no other way. We only lack yours.
As I say, one last sacrifice is required. Good.
The world shall not...
We already had more than enough Godwoken.
Another sacrifice. I was forced to... Alexander was Godwoken.
The task fell to...
And me.
Then let us show some responsibility for...
You'll be a hero. Everyone will know of the sacrifice. I understand. Your sacrifice.
I'm sorry. You've come such a long...
But the weight of his own pain leaves him to gravity's mercy.
My time is done. But you...
Dallas groans.
I have failed.
You think back on your journey here. You think of the Magisters, and the sword. You think of how the Eternals came as Voidwoken to reclaim their stolen world. You look at the source around. You think of what you could do with such... You marvel at your journey and it's time to choose. Shall you be After all that you have been through, and all that you have done, all that you have become, the Aetheran lies in front of you. Or to sacrifice. What you do next, what shall you do with Divinity?
And so it ended. A tale that began with my own ill-fated attempt to rid the world of the Godwoken. Dallas the Hammer, the secret Eternal, purged the Godwoken and used the Source to close the veil to the void. The world was saved. Statues in memory of the Godwoken who sacrificed their Source were erected all across Rivellon. They would never be forgotten. The half-demon Malady took pity on the soulless, Godwoken silent monks and brought them to the Hall of Echoes. There, from the scraps of their souls that remained, she restored them to life. Sorcerers no more, they lived out the rest of their lives, freed of the burden of being the Godwoken, freed from the weight of the world. As for me, I was already free, and so were the others. The Godwoken sacrifice severed the bond between the Sworn and the God King. To atone for my sins, I spent the rest of my days taking care of the sick and elderly, telling the story of the Godwoken, that the world may never forget the greatest heroes Rivellon had ever known.
Well, look what the cat dragged in. A silent, to be fair, you are barely more power.
Malady stands tall and proud.
Ah, there you are. More than a silent monstrosity, less than a god. In the end, where did I go wrong? How is so... Unfortunately for me, still, I'd expected quite a bit more. Never mind.
She fingers the mask covering her.
We've come a long way together. I did my best by you all the way. Sacrificed much.
She looks you.
I guess this... Take a moment, why don't you? Relax. Enjoy. I certainly plan to do the same. Oh, I don't know. Perhaps I'll part until we find out. If you'll excuse me.
The flaming hatchling bounces. It takes you a moment to realize the egg you've been carrying has hatched. Beast spirit doesn't acknowledge you as you approach.
Hear the wild beast. The cupboard can't...
He pauses, then...
Are you okay? You don't look okay.
No more Source, no more powers. Don't worry, darling. I know you have plenty of other qualities. Reform my ways. How adorable.
Her eyes flick down to your mouth. She smiles coyly, then slinks forward to kiss you. Her mouth meets yours and devours you with predatory abandon. Somewhere in the recesses of your mind, you think you hear her voice sigh, "mine." But then the kiss ends.
Something to remember me by, darling. Who knows? A nice cottage someplace quiet for Mahali and I. A roaring fire and a feather bed. Maybe. Maybe. But a girl needs some fun, doesn't she?
Losa looks at you intently, as though... A slight grin crosses the spirit's face. Whether her smile is sincere or not, you can't be sure.
I always thought that those who resorted to self-sacrifice were lacking. A world without source is one that will... I believe I shall enjoy this new world. That is the question, isn't it? How does one top the greatest feat of necromancy ever conceived? No, of course you wouldn't. I intend to see...
The squirrels smile. The purging that once silenced you remains on your mind as you approach Gareth. You are grateful for Malady's miraculous touch. Without it...
Amazing, I'm still here.
Aside from a
Time has a way of changing. Lucian doesn't need me. And believe me when I only did what...
Gareth shakes his head.
Self-pity is as dangerous as any... I find a way to fit. I wasn't just... And so I find out.
It gives me almost as much pleasure to speak to you as it does to be whole again. I will always be an ally to those that I am at the ready. Consider me to be a gift from Malady. My wood was splintered, but my spirit intact. It was a great feat, but given her skill, not a surprising one. I feel better than new.
You look out to the endless beyond. The sun's light plays upon the waves, just as it always did. The sails flutter in the wind, just as they always will. And yet, something is different. You are different. And with a start, you realize where you must go next. You speak the command to the Lady Vengeance, and another chapter begins. At last, the world was at peace. The ancient Lizard Empire opened its gates. The houses disbanded, and the Empire adopted a pluralist quasi-democracy. Anyone could vote for whoever they pleased, as long as the House of Shadows approved. Justinia returns to her throne. Under her rule, the Dwarven Kingdom prospered, until 2 years later, a jealous lover stabbed her in the heart with a mutton fork. Lucian made amends to the elves. He gave them lands and vast riches from the coffers of the old divine order. But the elves never forgave him. They would not trust humans again. And in a dark forest on the far side of a desert, well beyond the high seas, the Black Ring came together once more. The island of Fort Joy, the old redoubt of the Source King Brachus Rex, was turned over to the people of Driftwood to use as they wished. They turned it into a holiday resort. Reaper's Coast prospered. The fisheries returned, and the fertile farmlands produced the greatest harvests the surviving farmers had ever seen. Blood Moon Island became particularly fecund, its soil producing the greatest crops. A particularly crimson-fleshed orange grown on the island became a delicacy across half the world. The Black Pits took fire, The oil there burns still. Driftwood became a centre of industry, trade and transport. Lohar became mayor, and Brayton Barnes grew rich until, after a public argument over import duties, Barnes died in an accident, buried under several tons of fish, and also stabbed in the back with a gutting knife. Your lizard lover finally returned to the ancient lizard empire, there to found the newest and most popular of all the houses, the House of Love. Lagan left his over-demanding wife and began a relationship with a local bard. In the spirit of loving generosity, he returned the ring to his now ex-wife. In a fit of rage, she threw it into the sea. You would never forget Dorothea's kiss. Dorothea herself left Driftwood for the ancient empire, ever in search of the perfect kiss. She never found it, although once or twice she came close. The nameless isle had vanished. Although only open water remained, by instinct ships would steer clear. None of the captains could articulate why. Sir Gareth thanked the surviving Seekers for their service and gave them their freedom. Disillusioned with peace, he set out alone to find a new purpose. He would never stop seeking. Young Han went into the theatre and became one of the realm's most popular actors. Almira and Mihaly settled down on the farm. The locals liked and respected Almira. She never wanted for help, and deals always fell to her favor. She presumed she had them in thrall. The truth was, they just liked her. With no new divine, Malady found herself in a predicament. She had an important problem to solve, but no ally strong enough to call upon, and so her search continued. Having performed the greatest act of necromancy in history, Tarquin found the new world unchallenging. He became obsessed with rumors of another plane of existence. One day he vanished and was never seen again. Ahu the Wizard became one of Lucien's most trusted advisors once more. He always knew that something had changed in the divine. He never discovered what that was, or, if he did, he never said a word. With Amadia silent, the priestess Gratiana left the swamps and re-entered the world. She founded an abbey in the Dragonspine Mountains, offering the last of the undead shelter from fortune hunters, novelty seekers, and ghouls. Jehan the demon hunter found himself at a loose end, so he opened a museum of demonic artifacts. He made a fortune. Lucien returned as divine, united the races, and became Lord Emperor of all Rivellon. Only Dallis knew that he was entirely powerless. Dallis and you. The Eternal, now known as Dallis, was a secret advisor to Lucien and to his successors. For eons she would walk in the world, and would outlive the peoples and all, and wander alone amongst the dying stars. And then there was you. In a world of peace, you could live forever. Your future was yours to decide. But you were a sorcerer no more. Did you accept your new status with gratitude, or did you rebel? Only you know the truth. You and one other. But of him you are free. The God King no longer calls your name. He no longer whispers your shame. Only you know if you atone for your sins.
is dark. Come to me, the night is long. Sing for me, I'll sing along. Sing for me, oh sing for me. Come to me, the night is dark. Come to me, the night is long. Sing for me, I'll sing along. Sing for me, oh sing for me. Sway with me, we'll make them scream. Dance with me, we'll make